the cost of not speaking exactly what I want to say when I want to say it, however the fuck I want to say it, because I think that's the highest form of abundance in a lot of ways. But it is impossible, right? In like today's society and whatever, that you cannot say what you want to say. I find myself in such a dilemma. The thing about it is, I have a lot of opinions and not everything needs to be out. And I care about the feelings of people. I care about the feelings of people. You know what's interesting? There's a lot of things that I feel and I hold in my system, and it seeks expression. It seeks expression. And if I don't express it, it feels so blocked. But I made a video recently on my feed talking about how I feel like a neurotypical now, and that's because in piecing my own brain back together, in navigating my own traumas, in this is a great kind of stimming, by the way. And if you're new here, this is the point of the stream of consciousness. I just speak. There is no coherence, there's no nothing, we're just fucking talking. Everything does connect at the end, but don't really expect anything. It's just stream of consciousness, whatever. But stimming is what I was talking about. This is the kind of stimming, and before the study of neurodivergence, or before I came to be aware of it, the fact that I'm not making eye contact right now, I can, but it feels so forced, and these things were not even revealed to me. Like I would have to like force myself to sit quietly. My attention is everywhere. I'm picking up on everything else, but I'm very aware of what I'm saying right now, because my voice becomes the channel of ground through which I can say something. So there's a lot of ground happening over here, and in that regard, I want to speak about how it is important to have a very specific, tailored meditation for the neurodivergent brain. All right, and what I mean by that is, right now I'm meditating on a lot of things, not actively, but I am meditating on a lot of things in the sense that I am locked into a lot of things. And while it may seem erratic, or while it may seem chaotic to some people who do not have the same processing speed as I have, and it's not really about having a processing speed, everybody having a processing speed that's similar. It's really about different people are different. And what was I getting at? Right. It may seem erratic and chaotic to people who do not know me, or who cannot, or who have their own fight or flight activated in some manner because of this kind of delivery. And this kind of delivery is not for everyone. And that's how I have learned to parkofy. And parkofy is identify my audience of who I should be speaking to, who I should not be speaking to, and stuff like that. Now, where am I getting with all of this? I'm getting at the fact that meditation for an ADHD brain, or a neurodivergent brain, or just as a human being who's allowed to exist fully in whoever they are, your meditation is going to be so, and what makes you meditative is going to be so tailored to who you are, that it can be so many things. So the meditation for me right now is the fact that I'm swiveling my chair. Some may call it stimming. Yes, 100%. There's a lot of energy that seeks to flow through me right now, and this is the energy that makes me want to sit here and talk about all of these things. And this is the energy that I wish to give expression to. And in a lot of ways, I do the stream of consciousness because it is a very clear channel of expression, but it also gets through a lot of information that I cannot possibly like script. Because here's the thing, I can script, but the ability to script discounts and takes away from the purity and the rawness and the uncut nature of the diamond and the jewels that I can drop through my own consciousness, through what I have navigated in my own life. And it's a thing of beauty, you know what I mean? But getting back to the meditation. The meditation part of the thing is that, so the different things that I'm locked into right now is the fact that I'm stimming, or that I can sway on my chair right now. And the sensory sensitivities is really where it becomes very apparent, or opened up the door of acceptance for my own kind of blueprint, or human design, or whatever you want to call it. And speaking about human design too, we'll come back to that. We've gone to so many places. This is the point of it too, by the way. This is me accepting who I am in the biggest manner, because do you see how extremely rough this is? There's a very big component of being scared of judgment by talking like this, being like this, coming up in the front camera like this, because, whatever the fuck. But hey, it's the Lionsgate portal, yeah? It's the Lionsgate portal, and this is the point of the entire thing. The Lionsgate portal is supposed to give you a platform. It's supposed to give you a platform so that you are able to give yourself the permission to give yourself the platform to show up in who you really are. And these are the intersections that I like exploring. And that become really, really obvious to me because I've seen that if you're really aligned with your own life, when you're really, really aligned with your own life, you tend to come to a place where you see patterns in everything. My life daily is like a Truman Show living, I swear to God. You see patterns in everything and you see the connections in everything, in people, behavior, places, things, whatever, the bigger picture of things, the bigger picture of things, which leads you to not be able to function in the smaller fractals of things. And that's really what it is. So the fractals of things is something that has been of utmost importance to me because when Jim Carrey went on stage, and I saw this video clip from like an award show when Jim Carrey went on stage and he said that I experience all fractals of things. I experience all fractals of things too. I see how the reality shifts and reality bends, and not just for me but for everybody else. But how this is obvious to you and how this shows up for you will be very specific to you, and you cannot take what I am saying and apply it to your life except in the fact in how you experience it and how you sense it. You cannot look for how reality is bending or whatever the fuck it is. You just have to be really present and really grounded in your own life in order to be able to see how you are the Arjuna and Krishna as well. How you as the Arjuna must act over here so that the ripple effect of that action kind of like goes over there and it acts over there in terms of Krishna doing his thing. Krishna, you know. All that being said, I was speaking about the meditative nature of ADHD. The meditative nature is also just this, because meditation can happen in so many ways, and depending on the kind of expression that you have, the meditation will kind of differ. And I wanted to broaden the horizons of what the definition of meditation can be, because meditation has been such an important tool for me to be navigating my own life. I started meditating at a time when I was extremely sad, broken, traumatized, dealing with death, and I didn't know where else to go. And the thing about the human body is, this is why I like talking about the psychosomatic experiences of things and stuff like that. The thing about the human body is as such that when you have a inclination or an instinct to go towards something, to do something against all the convincing that your mind tries to do and shit like that, you want to follow it, and the intelligence of the human body that I'm speaking about is that when you have a certain instinct, it is your body guiding you through your karma in a way, or guiding you through your needs, and it is what you need to do in order to specifically relieve yourself. For me, it looks like this, but for you, the expression may look like, I don't know. Some people, it looks like music, it looks like, you get the point. But this is also where meditation lies, because the meditation is in you living your life. And you know how they say that the meditation goes beyond the yoga mat? This is exactly what that is. When meditation goes beyond the yoga mat, and when they say stay present in your life, staying present in your life can become so much more harder when you go with the mental activity of wanting to stay present in your life. It's not about that, because when you make it a mental activity, and this I speak from my own experience, the first time I came across the concept of being present, the mind in its own way it's a mind when you're trying to be present and disconnect from the mind, but you've been in the mind and it has to happen through the mind. So how are you going to be present without the mind, not completely disconnecting from it, but to connect to something greater and in presence? And that is how I was, kind of introduced to it. In presence is when you are first introduced to the concept of existing outside your mind. Now, coming back to this, existing outside the mind, it can become extremely hard, but the only way that you can smoothen that curve, the only way that you can make it easier for you in a sort of way, is to do you in the best way. Now, here's the thing, there's a lot of barriers that the ego puts in you not being able to do you. I'm able to do all of these things right now because there's a specific set of things that had to be eliminated from my own life in order for me to have the freedom to express myself in the way that I express myself right now. All right. Now here's the gag though. All right. Those barriers, those things that got eliminated. And I say got eliminated because those things did not necessarily, that would prevent me from having this, and that would box me to systems where I would be considered chaotic or erratic, or systems that would try to shut me up in whatever manner. Those systems were, I didn't want to leave those systems because they look like jobs, they look like so many other things, right? And when they look like so many other things, it's kind of like, yo, what am I supposed to do now, right? But here's the gag though, those systems spit you out. And I don't know why I believed that, but those systems spit you out because your non-conformity is very apparent and very obvious, and it will ripple through the entire infrastructure of the system that you are in, and it is going to cause irritation to you and the system. And this is most often what I see in excuse me, this is most often what I see in like relationship with people, places, whatever. But let's come back to the meditation of things. And this is where the whole act of living life becomes a meditation. And in a lot of ways, it reminds me about how the quote goes: before spiritual awakening, chop wood, carry water, and after spiritual awakening, chop wood, carry water. Yes, 100%. I was always this girl who would speak like this, but there needs to be a certain alignment with a certain platform where people have the receptivity for this kind of stuff as well, because that's when you have the audience that allows you to explore your own meditativeness in the presence of being deeply involved in your own life. You feel me? I know you do. Meditation, the entire life as a meditation, all right? You're able to do that when you are so truly in flow with exactly who you are, that you are expressing freely everything that comes, so as to say that everything that you do is a stream of your own consciousness. And that, my friend, is the gold. All right, that, my friend, the stream of the consciousness that lives through you, that you are simply a vessel of in this lifetime, that is caged in earth right now. And I say caged because, cage, we're all infinite. We're infinite, and the infinite nature of who we are is obvious, and it's becoming obvious to everybody. The thing is, the infinite is within the finite, and it's a way to marry, because when you come in contact with the infinite nature of your own self, it's kind of like, why am I even, the mind tries to make sense out of everything, and it must. Logic is so important, right? The mind must try to make sense out of everything, and in making sense out of everything, it will automatically raise questions of resistance in trying to understand, by saying, wait, if I'm infinite, then why am I even like recording a video right now? Why am I even on a channel right now? Why am I on YouTube right now? Right? Like, infinite, तो उस level का काम करना, but then उस level का is another Maya in and by itself. We expect so many things to brain you guys. I just wanted to show this to you. That's the point of this channel. क्या बोल रही थी? What was I saying? Infinite. The ego's conclusion, the mind's conclusion of what the infinite needs to be, what the infinite needs to look like, what your purpose needs to look like, what meaning needs to look like, what meditation needs to look like, what you need to look like, what it needs to be like. And when I say it, I mean anything and what it needs to look like, because we expect things to look a certain manner, and when we expect things to look a certain manner, we trap ourselves because we can't make sense out of it, and every contradiction prevents us from acting. समझ रहे हो? Do you understand? Do you know what I'm saying? Yes, you do. Living life as meditation. This is meditation for me right now. This is my morning meditation for me right now. All right. And in this being my morning meditation, I have satisfied the purpose of my life as of today. And there's a lot of shunyata that I've been exploring in my own life. And the shunyata is that I simply show up, I deliver what it is that is, I deliver whatever needs to be channeled, whatever spirit wants to channel through me, whatever wishes to express itself through me. And this is a concept I've been exploring a lot. And it is something that one of my very old teachers spoke about, but tabhi to palle nahi pada. I didn't understand it. All right. I didn't understand it, and but I understood it in a very interesting manner. And it was Ashley Lobo who said this. It was Ashley Lobo who said this, that, and at the time, and not me directly in any manner, wo aise kaan mein pada, because I was part of the ecosystem that he was operating and controlling. He said that every creation out there exists, and it's so fucking crazy. Yeah, every creation out there truly exists, and we truly are the channel and the mediums for all of these things. But the receptivity that you need to fine tune within yourself is really also co-created by life, because the fine tuning of who you are as a human being comes from navigating the pain of who you are. But the creator first delivers pain unto you inevitably, and that pain gives you the power. You're given the power, and that pain gives you a reason for you to use the power that you have in order to turn whatever it is, in order to turn water into wine in your own life, or the other way around if you're sober, and that is what you need to be doing. And when you do that, you fine tune your own vessel. And when we don't yield is the word that I want to speak about over here. When we don't yield to the pain, or when we don't yield to the expression that wishes to channel itself through us, as I have not yielded before when something like this has wanted to come out, because of how I am perceiving it and locking myself in the cage of perception of others for the fear of being misunderstood, cancelled, whatever, rejected, isolated, whatever. Those things effectively prevent us from being a conduit, an effective conduit. I'm looking for an aligned conduit to what it is that we can be aligned to in our own lives. And that alignment looks different for everybody, and I love the way I see alignment too, and the way I sense and I see it. It's kind of like Lucy, yeah? Alignment, we are in competition with each other, and when we operate from that place of ego, and when it's like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this because of this, or whatever it is, we are essentially in competition with other people. We're essentially in competition with other people, and that is not the point, because everybody has their place in this life, because we are all so different in the way that we manifest. And in being different in the way that we manifest, we are so unique. But when we don't tap into our own unique fingerprint, unique soul print, unique blueprint, whoever the fuck you are, when we don't do that, that is when competition enters the chat. But in your lane, and you know how people say, I don't focus on competition, I'm just on my own lane, that's alignment. That's alignment regardless of how you find it. And in that alignment, you live your entire life as a meditation. Everything that you do, I'm focusing on very different things right now. And my meditation depends on whatever sense I want to channel my consciousness into, or whatever. And we're multidimensional in the sense that the consciousness also, even in my own body, all right? Okay, let's talk about this one dimensionality of this existence. Even in the one dimensionality of this existence, there is a lot of control I have in my body, yeah? In terms of what I can focus on. And this goes into really being present in the body. I love it. I love being present in the body, because that disconnection I see is what happens and is what is perpetuated by trauma. And the people who are disconnected from their own traumas perpetuate further disconnection by acting from the place of the mind and the place of the competition, because you can't help but do so, because you may have had to disconnect and not go in. And I was speaking to a friend of mine, I remember recently, and we were talking about how she's here and she's not able to, she's all here. And we are very psychic in our own nature, so our conversations get as woo-woo as it can get, my friend. And it's, fellow Pisces. Astrology is real. Astrology is as real as it gets. क्या बोल रही थी मैं? What was I saying? I was saying, yes, you go over there, but how was I able to tell her that she had been over here? And it looks like a lot of intellectualizing of all the pain and everything else. And it goes back to the video that I made on Instagram, which spoke about knowing is not doing. And this is also a fractal of it that I speak about, that I include when I make such expressions, because a lot of things and our minds are trying to feel. It's so funny, because all the trauma or jo bhi hai, whatever pain that we experience, the illusions that we experience, the traps that we navigate in our own lives, the disconnection that happens affects our brain. And I recently came across a prof who said that trauma because I believe trauma is stored in the body. But if you don't fuck with that concept, okay, this is about unification of everything. This is about the message in and by itself. The trauma in and by itself is a violent shift in perception. Okay, perception, brain. Okay. Now, when you have a violent shift in perception, that brain, which has had a violent shift in perception, is acting from that set place of violent shift in perception in order to figure out a way to free you from whatever caused that violent shift in perception. And that, my friend, is what leads to intellectualizations. Intellectualization. That is how I see it. That is how I see it happening. So when I see people, and this is why I advocate so much for being present in the body, because I recognize that being present in the body is extremely unsafe. And in the virtue of my own journey, I have had to be present in my body. The kind of pain that I have and the lack of egoic privileges. I am brown. I'm a person of color. I'm dear Lord, I'm brown, I'm a person of color, I'm a woman, and in a lot of cases, I was in most of the systems, I was like the small guy. You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is that there is no egoic privileges. There is no egoic privileges. All right. And when there is no egoic privileges, intellectualization loses it, because intellectualization can only happen. It happens nevertheless, because the brain is always trying to figure out. But the only way you can perpetuate intellectualization willfully is when you have a system where that intellectualization can take place and you're not desperate, absolutely desperate to heal. And that desperation is what I found Eckhart Tolle speak about, but that's a different topic. That is not important right now. Let's speak about this. Desperate. I was so desperate that I was like, okay, what's gonna help? And then I come across some teachings and it's like, and teachings always find you when you are receptive and ready to integrate them in your own life, and what it looks like, you will know. Okay. Amazing stuff. But where was I going with all of this? Right. We covered that, coming to the body, trauma, the separation. Yes, so from that violent shift in perception is where the mind is trying to do that, and that's why it fails. That's why you need to come here. But we go up over here. And I have very, 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 oh my God, the way I come in here and I sit like this, but this is years of just like navigating that disconnection, which is why the passion with which I speak is important, and it feels very purposeful for me to share it, because in people who do have the egoic privileges to be in systems that allow them to perpetuate their intellectualization and also move away from the body even after this information is available to them, even after I've said this or whatever it is that there is a sense of unsafety, because that means that you will have to face all the pain. This is where I had no choice. I had no choice but to face the pain. I had no choice. And when I mean I had no choice, I mean that I have come across people who have told me that they feel comfortable in their box of darkness. What? You have had the chance to box your darkness and it has been contained in a way that you have control over the fact that you know that it's contained. My friend, my pain was everything around me. My pain was everything around me, and that pain was just like thrashing me around. Choice never existed for me as it does now. But regardless of whether there is a choice or not, you are accountable for your actions, and that is why it's like the unconscious will rule you. Jo patakna, the thrashing that happened to me, the unconsciousness ruled me, and it's like everything is happening to me, but I was so blind to the actions that I was, and I say blind because that kind of action blindness, ADHD, I love integrating ADHD terms, all of these things. The kind of action blindness that happens in your own unconsciousness when you don't know that you're acting from pain. And we see a lot of people in society acting from pain right now. When we see these murders and all of these things, that's why we find it so hard to excuse them. And that's why when you find it so hard to understand it, it's like, how could you do it? But when you do something, and I'm not saying I've done something extremely bad, but the bad that I've done into my own life that had delivered me into situations that had further perpetuated that wrongness and delivered me into pain was a result of exactly that kind of unconsciousness. So choice became open to me. Like now, choices that I make are conscious. And I know that they're conscious now after having been through that journey over the years of trying to literally bring my mind and body to the same place. And in bringing my mind and body to the same place, it's like years, it slowly dawns on you. Oh, and that's when you reveal insights about, oh, I did something wrong. मैंने गलत किया, वो नहीं था. But when you are doing it, you don't know that you're doing something wrong. And that is, such is the plight of humankind. Such is the plight of unconsciousness that works and seeks to disentangle yourself through your unique expression in this world. You feel me, baby girl? Cool. Unique expression. Meditation. Your entire life is meditation. Every sense of what is available to you specifically, meditate on that. For the longest time I was trying to devise meditations. I love meditation. I love meditation. I love it. ठीक है. And it breaks my heart when people used to say that, oh, I can't meditate. No, you can. You just have the wrong definition of meditation. Meditation needs to be broadened. Every definition needs to be broadened to fit who you are. And when definitions are used as constructs, whether it looks like gender or whatever, or it looks like gender roles, or it looks like this is what you should be doing, nothing can contain the human. And nothing must contain the human, but in containing the human, further containment is perpetuated. समझ रहे हो? The definitions of your life must expand to fit and encapsulate you, because in that space is where you are able to give yourself the breathing space to not become a hindrance to anybody else. And if you're like fucking stuck over here, if the definition is making you constrict yourself, bruv. Of course we are going to be in competition with each other and we are going to just like fight. Fighting doesn't lead to anything except destruction. क्या होगा उसमें से? कुछ नहीं होगा. Thank you for joining me on my stream of consciousness for today. This is really it. I have nothing else to add, and I think this is a good place to stop. But I hope you find it in yourself to meditate today. Goodbye, friend.